Estamos de regresso depois de mais uma pequena pausa nestes nossos trabalhos e continuamos a voar rumo à mudança. O próximo espaço é de painel, vai ser sobre o tema UAVs and Advanced Air Mobility Roadmaps. A moderação não é de um jornalista, mas é do CEO da WISE, o Frederico Fernandes. Frederico, bem-vindo. E vai ter o Frederico 4 convidados, 2 aqui e 2 à distância. Boa conversa.
Muito obrigado. Muito boa tarde. Boa tarde a todos. Espero que tenham ter um dia fantástico. Hoje vamos falar sobre Advanced Air Mobility e se calhar alguns de vocês estão a pensar que vamos falar sobre o futuro, mas não. Vamos falar sobre hoje, o presente, porque já existem máquinas a voar, existem infraestruturas a receber, existe tecnologia já a ser certificada e vamos ter aqui vários exemplos disso, começando por uma apresentação ali do meu colega e uma das pessoas que mais percebe de Advanced Air Mobility em Portugal é o João Brilhante, é consultor aeroportuário e foi técnico especialista do Ministro das Infraestruturas de Portugal, o anterior governo, e teve mão nisto. Fala-nos um pouco e enquadra-nos, antes de apresentar o resto dos convidados, sobre a Advanced Air Mobility e Portugal.
Boa tarde a todos. A Advanced Air Mobility em Portugal está a começar, ou seja, há aqui, eu acho que eu vou seguir aqui um bocadinho aqui a apresentação, desculpem, gosto de falar de pé. Fizeram-me aqui o desafio de falar um pouco sobre o trabalho que fiz nos últimos 2 anos no mestrado, em que o objetivo era definir um pouco, estudar a Advanced Air Mobility e encontrar e desenhar um roadmap para Portugal. Como sabem, ou seja, existem várias construtoras de aeronave que já estão em desenvolvimento das suas aeronaves. Estamos a falar de aeronaves elétricas, de descolagem vertical, que tem aqui uma componente em termos de infraestrutura e em termos até de organização de tudo o que é a aviação, diferente da aviação normal que nós temos. O objetivo foi tentar primeiro encontrar o que é do roadmap, encontrar o que é o map. Conseguir mapear quais é que são os stakeholders que têm que estar bem coordenados e bem identificados para se conseguir desenvolver este setor. Portanto, nós temos aqui um core de Sustainability, Public Acceptances, Insurance and Financing e depois 4 vetores à volta, portanto temos Aircraft Regulator, Infrastructure e Operations e depois, eu estou a falar inglês porque temos aqui um colega inglês. Depois temos 11 pontos e esses 11 blocos na envolvente são bastante importantes. Eu vou passar rapidamente. Portanto, o OEM, o primeiro, é o desenvolvedor das aeronaves. O segundo é a manutenção dessas aeronaves. O terceiro são as companhias aéreas. Portanto, estamos a falar de, por exemplo, temos aqui um exemplo, temos a Elibras, que pode ser um potencial, uma companhia deste tipo de aeronaves. Depois temos o 4, Regulators and Government. 5º, Communications, portanto tem que haver uma comunicação com a terra, porque estas aeronaves já não vão tão alto como a aviação normal, regular. Temos Air Traffic Management, no 6, 7, Multimodal Nodes, Vertiports, Electrification, portanto é um tipo de aeronave que precisa de uma infraestrutura completamente diferente, em termos de eletrificação e de carregamento rápido. Depois, Vertiport Operators e, também, muito importante, os users, portanto, quem vai utilizar, ou seja, que vai aceitar todo este processo e vai utilizar este tipo de aeronaves e este tipo de serviço. Fez-se uma primeira análise do que é que seria os players e os stakeholders em Portugal, portanto, temos aqui, a TechEver é portuguesa, mas existem outras, como mostrou a primeira fotografia, outros desenvolvedores de aeronave. Temos, em termos de manutenção, algumas empresas e também a Força Aérea como uma possível manutenção deste tipo de aeronaves. Depois, companhias aéreas, portanto, estamos a falar de NetJets, a Portugália, podem ser desenvolvedores. Temos aqui um ponto 4, é bastante importante, que é a República Portuguesa, que tem um papel muito importante no início deste processo. É a EASA, a ANAC, que está aqui presente com certeza, e também as câmaras municipais, portanto, Lisboa, as principais. Portanto, estamos a falar de Coimbra, Faro, Porto, mas também todas a do interior, especialmente esta onde estamos hoje. Em termos de comunicação, temos a Anacom e alguns provedores de 5G. Air Traffic Management, temos a NAV e Aerocontrol, portanto, em termos de Multimodal Nodes, portanto, espaços onde se cruzam várias estruturas e infraestruturas de mobilidade. Temos a Infraestruturas de Portugal, a Brisa e por aí fora. Vertiports, a Blue Nest. Temos também uma que está aqui presente, que é a Cookie Jar, que também vai falar aqui um pouco, que é um que se integra no ponto 8. Electrification, temos aqui a EDP, a REN, tudo o que é o sistema de redes para fornecimento da energia. Vertiport Operators temos vários, portanto, várias possibilidades. Temos a ANA, a Menzies, a Skyports e aqui neste ponto que é bastante difícil, temos a Advanced Air Mobility Institute que pode ajudar e uma instituição, que, da minha experiência, que também podia estar e ser um ponto de referência neste processo, que é o IMT. Bom, em termos de Master Plan, a ideia foi desenvolver em 6 fases de desenvolvimento. Portanto, a primeira, que é o Stage 1, que é o reconhecimento, é preciso estudar exatamente que potencialidade é que tem a Advanced Air Mobility. A segunda seria um processo de coordenação, portanto, inteirar todos aqueles 11 blocos e conseguir interligá-los e acertar todos os interesses de cada um. Na fase 3 temos o desenvolvimento, portanto começar a testar e começar a colocar e fazer aqui alguns pontos e alguns voos de teste. Depois temos a implementação no 4, portanto aí sim já é a implementação e já é operações a valer, e depois operation normal, portanto a operação, e por fim o escalar, ou seja, depois é o crescimento dentro do território português e neste caso espanhol. Eu não sei se eu tenho muito mais tempo para ir um pouco mais avante. Eu acho que podíamos destacar aqui alguns pontos. Portanto, a Stage 1, portanto, no reconhecimento, há aqui um trabalho muito grande do Governo como início, com uma avaliação do que é este setor. Este setor vai acontecer, só temos é que nos preparar o máximo possível e o mais rápido possível para que ele apareça na hora certa e de uma maneira coordenada e bem tratada. Existe já o benchmark de todo este trabalho, existe já a Alemanha e a Itália que estão a desenvolver já estes master plans e já estão bastante mais avançados e bastante mais a andar para a frente na Advanced Air Mobility. Portanto, temos aqui a criação do business case, estudar e conseguir avaliar quais é que são os benefícios desse processo e entender e dar aqui alguns passos que se têm que se dar exatamente para desenvolver a Advanced Air Mobility. Depois, em termos de coordenação, aqui sim já há a coordenação pela utilização dos 4 blocos que eu falei há pouco, portanto, coordenar em termos dos 4 blocos, criar líderes desses 4 blocos e criar aqui algumas reuniões, grupos de trabalho, não sei exatamente qual é que podia ser a solução, mas podia ser grupos de trabalho em que são coordenados em reuniões de bloco, ou seja, falando exatamente e alinhando as estratégias para cada bloco para se tornar mais fácil. Em termos de desenvolvimento, aí sim, já temos aqui, era importante criar 3 clusters de vertiports para começar a fazer os voos e desenvolver toda uma operação, portanto, full-scale test flights, portanto, algo que testasse a infraestrutura, que testasse a tecnologia. E na fase 4 estamos a falar já de desenvolver toda a parte de rede elétrica e de fornecimento para, e aqui também uma parte de U-Space, eu esqueci-me de dizer, mas na primeira fase é preciso decidir quem é que vai estruturar e desenvolver, mas aqui o meu colega pode falar um pouco mais sobre o que é que vai acontecer em termos de certificação e de espaço aéreo. E em termos de operação, depois sim, aí já temos todo o ecossistema a funcionar a full burn, de uma maneira em que se conseguisse, de certa maneira, introduzir a operação e funcionar, ou seja, fazer toda a operação como um serviço robusto e bem desenvolvido. E, por fim, o crescimento. Portanto, depois de testar tudo, aí já se conseguia passar para uma estrutura mais de teste e de escalabilidade, encontrar quais é que são os pontos dos vertiports para desenvolver toda a produção. Bom, pediram-me 5 minutos, eu gastei um pouco mais.
Muito obrigado, foi uma visão extremamente interessante em termos estratégicos de implementação e do que é que nós precisamos fazer. Is our guest online? Kim, are you online? He is. Kim, as a good Portuguese gentleman, we agreed to do this conference in English, so that the rest of this panel will be in English, so that you're not lost. João Bravo, is it okay for you?
Yes, it is. Good afternoon.
Okay, I'm going to start with Kim. Kim Silander is co-founder and chairman of A2M, Advanced Air Mobility, and also Cookie Jar. for you to understand, Kim, as besides being part of the lobby in the Northern Europe for advanced air mobility to start, is also investor in infrastructure. So let's start first with infrastructure that we need for the new planes to land. We go then for the airports with Heli Bravo in operation, and then we have an amazing chat with the regulator to see how how the rest of the things will happen. Kim, present yourself and talk a little bit about your project and what you have seen in Portugal in the last year in Advanced Air Mobility Summit.
Yeah, so my name is Kim Selander and I'm the founder of Hookiejar. What we do is we build vertiports, and our goal is to basically establish infrastructure for eVTOLs. The main challenge is actually the cost of operation. So if you think about flying a helicopter today, it's fairly expensive. And this is an industry where you want to scale up and have several hundreds, maybe thousands of eVTOLs operating over vast areas. And if you have that, you also need a landing infrastructure. So what we are trying to do is to make cost-efficient infrastructure so it's affordable to land and also very effective and safe to operate on those locations. Just as an example, if you have 100 eVTOLs that we have now in the order book in Dubai, you would need 25 vertiports just to handle that capacity. Unfortunately, people are not flying to different locations simultaneously. They tend to like to fly to the same locations, meaning we need to have quite a lot of touchdown and lift-off capacities in the most popular destinations.
Very good. So the first axe of operation is here, infrastructure. I will come back to you, Kim, and I will go to the operator and also someone that has business in the area, is thinking about business and infrastructure here in Portugal with Blue Nest. João Bravo, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the advanced mobility projects in your group.
Good afternoon again. So my name is João Bravo. I'm a member of the board of Heli Bravo, and I'm responsible for the urban air mobility project within Heli Bravo. As you said, we are the single helicopter passenger operator. We are the only ones that have the CAT certification, which means we can do touristic flights in Portugal. Something that we are already doing since 2015. And we launched Lisbon helicopters and now recently Porto helicopters, and we have also the ambition to go to other locations. So having this context, we feel that the future of passenger flights and also last mile flights and also critical deliveries will pass through eVTOLs. So it is like a natural decision for us to invest, or at least to look into this area as a future of the helicopter business. Well, taking this into account, we have done the first steps, and we think the momentum is right now to understand how this new ecosystem will progress. And especially, how can we contribute, especially in Portugal, to this ecosystem? As operators, we have the ambition to be the first operator of eVTOLs in Portugal. We know that the passenger flights is a bit far away yet. However, there are already some testing on cargo flights. And this is something that we are willing to demonstrate really, really soon. Hopefully next year. We have to collaborate, of course, with our CAA, ANAC, and other entities, but that's what we have as a plan. Additionally, as you said, Frederico, we are also pairing with Blue Nest. Blue Nest is a company, is a Spanish company. It is a big group, or belonging to a big group, which is OpenVia, that has a lot of projects in mobility. For instance, they have railways, they have highways, in Spain, but also in South America, in the UK, and so on, and also a highway here in Portugal, and they are investing in vertiports. And we thought that Portugal could be a very good test country, especially for the EASA environment, to start with. We are a small country. We already have the infrastructure. We would like to use our infrastructure if possible, so convert the heliports that we already have into vertiports in order to be able to act as a testing place or a test site for EASA to conduct the first flights. After that, well, the ambition is high. We would like very much to populate Portugal first with vertiports, because a lot of vertiports will be needed. In the projections, this is not going to, the eVTOLs are not going only to substitute or to replace the helicopter flights, but a lot of urban surface mobility, and also on the naval side or on the sea side, the ferries and so on will be done by eVTOLs as well. So we think that on urban areas we would like to invest and to see how we can progress in Portugal to populate in a near future with vertiports where it could make sense and have those upsides that the heliport does not have in this case, and as Kim very well described, from noise-wise and also in regard to the decarbonization, we call it, the Green Deal that Europe has signed recently. We feel that electrifying the flights will be for sure one of the best challenges that we face with the eVTOLs.
Very good. So we have a viewpoint of infrastructure that is willing to operate. We have the viewpoint of an operator that also has infrastructure, but this is not enough to start the ecosystem, right? So they have the land, they have the devices, but it's not enough. So they cannot start. I had the pleasure to have Fábio with us, Fábio Camacho, that is head of Unmanned Aircraft Systems Department, the National Authority, Civil Aviation Authority of Portugal. And at Advanced Mobility Summit, you presented the work that you and your team have done so far in advanced mobility to prepare the scenario for this ecosystem. And original equipment manufacturers, Kim was surprised, and so many other international leaders were surprised with the work that is being done to prepare for this. Can you talk a little bit about the work that you've done with your team and ANAC and the challenge that you face and what is ready for us to start?
Sure. So good afternoon. So I think that before putting in words the work that we have done, it's important to recognize that we are in a European ecosystem, right? So we will, of course, ensure that the European rules will be applicable. And that roadmap was written in 2017. So the current roadmap for new space, innovative air mobility will end in 2014, or even can be delayed to 2015. And the reason is because we do not have the capacity as a society to create right now, so kick a ball and have the proper ecosystem. Because first we need to create the conditions for the payers, the operators. So the first thing to do before we starting to build up the scenario is create all the conditions to the operators. This is the main objective, because without operators, we do not have services. If you do not have services, you do not have money to invest and create all the ecosystem that João presented us. Based on that, our main objective, recognizing that we are Portuguese, we have our own culture, we have all our stakeholders. We created a process to ensure that we quickly can respond and implement use space. So we can have advanced air mobility without use space, okay? So Currently, we have all the conditions in Europe to have advanced air mobility solutions. We have certified heliports that can be converted, for example, Heli Bravo heliport in Algiers, for example. We have currently a process to certify vertical capable aircrafts in Europe, probably one of the first regions in the world. So it's regulations that were published this year and will allow the type certification of these vehicles. And additionally, to start the process will be with a pilot on board. Basically, will be a TPL pilot, ATPL-H helicopter pilot that can conduct type rating training for that specific machine that have that specific type certificate. So what this means, for example, right now, if you want to implement a concept where we have a VCA capable aircraft departing from Algiers to go to Comporta with a pilot on board, we can have advanced air mobility. Oh. So we have right now the environment. Of course, this is first the operators need to be available for that because it's a strategical decision and there is the investment. The second part, to deploy the EAM, so advanced EAM, is of course the use space. We are talking in innovative air mobility, and this innovative air mobility may include specific concept of operations that are quite useful for Portuguese operators. There are two. The first thing is sightseeing operations. This is identified at European level in some documents. The second one is the BVLOS cargo transport. So we think that these two concepts that we see our operators requesting and demanding an ecosystem for that will be the operations that will provide a way to have a growth in use space and in the same time support the manufacturing of a new integrated and digital ecosystem to deploy more and more operations and of course have more differentiation in the services. Currently, we think that the first one, in terms of transporting people on board, there are rules. So there are processes to certify that operations, meaning that we can substitute current operations conducted by helicopters by using VCAs. The second phase, of course, is eliminate the pilot on board. It's called the air taxi concept. Everybody knows the air taxi concept. But we need to recognize and admit that probably socially we are not still okay with that, right? We need to feel what is the behavior of the society. When we reach a point that we can remove the pilot, probably we are in a phase that we started the innovative air mobility, transporting persons and goods by air. The second phase, of course, is to ensure that we have a proper use space, because without the proper use space, we will not have complex BVLOS operations in high-risk areas. So currently, ANAC, just to ensure that we do not have delays in the project, we have conducted airspace risk assessment, and we concluded that there are some regions in Portugal where we can effectively implement use space. With that, we'll be ready to certify the Common Information Service Provider and additionally the USSP service provider, meaning that we will mimic what the ATM sector is doing. So it's airspace services specific for drone that is capable to mitigate the air risk and the ground risk at the same time. So I think that we are reaching the last frontier of exploration. And I truly believe when we have the use space, we will see an exponential growth of the sector, to be honest.
Extraordinary. Great work. We are ready. And now before going to the infrastructure, I want to ask your help as an expertise, because we discussed here that the Civil Aviation Authority, it's ready, is doing its job. There is areas that we are ready to fly under some conditionings, but use space, as you referred, is still an issue that will be air traffic management. And also the certification that it belongs to EASA, which other countries are also expecting for EASA to certify, so that other countries can also mimicate and fly. So how can we go around this in Portugal and make it happen faster? in your perspective, do you space, which authorities or which entities should be involved, use space, and to bring also, how do you feel that we can bring more original equipment manufacturers to Portugal to test and to start speeding?
Yes, this is something that is very important to think of. The first steps that we need to do, and right now it's very important, for instance, for the government to trigger some important things that are meant to develop and start the advanced air mobility. I think one of them is, more or less in the presentation, is the acknowledgement. So study the study case, study exactly what needs to be done, make a strategy, and also one of the things is to develop the use space is to identify and nominate who is going to take that step, and I think it's going to be NAV Portugal, which is the entity that knows how to deal and deals with air traffic management. The other thing is, the second thing, and it's also very, very important, is who is going to be the entity that will coordinate all of the blocks that we are talking about, and also the entity that will start connecting with people, because we are going to fly above people and houses and infrastructures and everything, so needs to be evaluated as at the same time it's going to be explained to the populations and the companies and the investment and everything. So the work that I developed in this ecosystem, more or less the design of the ecosystem, is all of the points are very important, but the trigger to start everything is the government taking the step to nominate the entity for the airspace and the entity for coordinating the work group that need to be done, of course, with the information and the assessment that ANAC did. So I think that's the first main steps that we need to do as a government. My experience is that the infrastructure ministry has all the aviation, has all of the important things that needs to be done for the normal aviation. This has to be taken in the new cell, and some entity, I don't know, it's going to be EMT or not, but needs to be developed and defined.
Very good point. And I cannot resist of asking Kim, that has a background in air traffic management. He is one of the leaders, European leaders on that, and with business on that area. Kim, why didn't I come flying in eVTOL to Pontessor yet? What can we do here to speed up things in terms of use space control management? I think your sound is off.
Sorry, I'm muted, right? I think in Portugal you have quite taken a big leap already in terms of what you need to do, and we also mentioned that all these bits and pieces in the ecosystem have to actually tie up and be ready for doing certain things. Stepwise approach, utilizing what we can do today, is a good start. So eVTOLs, for example, just apply the existing rules that we have and treat them as an electrical helicopter today. That would work quite fine. A word of caution when it comes to use space is that the experience we have now from many municipalities is of course a concern of safety of where you're flying above the cities, because you're going to fly much lower. And we have been talking quite a lot in Sweden and in Scandinavia about the fact that maybe the municipalities should have a role in monetizing the flyovers over the area, so they actually get incentivized to build infrastructure for the airspace, in the lower airspace in Sweden. It's quite an advanced concept in the sense, but because normally the state would deal with how you design the airspace and so on. But if you look at cities today, there's plenty of cities. We saw in Paris where the city opposes flying, and we want to really incentivize them to develop this and actually give us the benefits that we all want to get from the green aviation that it contributes to. So I think this is something that we have to look at. How can we incentivize cities to get involved in the planning and actually include airspace, especially the lower airspace, as part of their city planning objectives today? Because now they're planning the road infrastructure, they even plan under the ground, but tomorrow probably they have to be involved in what they do above ground as well.
Yeah, definitely. I had that experience with one acceleration of a project in advanced air mobility in the Middle East, and everybody was willing to push forward the project. But when we arrived to the authority that was dealing with airspace, the authority that had the money to and will to solve the solution, to solve the problem in 1 week, when they asked the supplier, "So, do you have something that could help us do this integration?" The supplier said, "No, we don't." And several suppliers said, "No, we don't." So they are working on that, and I'm going to pass the ball now for the devices. João Bravo, I don't want to be in your shoes, because you look at the right, you see your fleet, Airbus or wherever you are flying, and then you look at the other window, it's 150 different brands. So how are you going to choose your eVTOL? Do you have, tell us a little bit about maybe the ones that you are thinking that will be a good alternative and we will see flying in the next years in Portugal?
Federico, that's a very difficult question to answer. To be completely honest and transparent, we do not know. We do not have a clue yet with who we are going to pair up. Why? Our ambition is only to be an operator. We cannot. There are a lot of projects, so to say. I've seen a lot of mock-ups. But there are a few that are ready to go to market. And even those, in this case, they're a bit like we as operators are feeling it, which is, and as Fabio and João explains very well, we are missing the law. And since we are missing the law and we are missing how to implement it and how to do those flights with total safety and also the allowance to fly passengers and cargo, we will have to understand first when this is going to be possible to do, and then after understand how much it will be costing. And we have a notion. We want for sure try to democratize those flights. We know that first of all it will have to be the touristic flights, and therefore we'll have to choose a platform that can allow comfort to the passengers and allow also the possibility to have a big window to have also a way to enjoy the ride and to see what you are willing to see over the cities as a sightseeing operation or VIP flights. And this is it. So we are speaking with a lot of them especially from European countries, but also from South America, actually from Brazil as well. And we are trying to understand how fast they can deliver and what will be actually the purpose of their construction, and if they are aligned with the ambition that Helibravo has. So we are pretty agnostic at this point.
Cost is such an important thing, especially now. We've been seeing around 6 billion investment into this new advanced mobility per year. Last year was 2 billion. Money is short. Some of them will be consolidated, right? But I know that Civil Aviation Authority is also sensitive to costs, because it's not only the cost of the aircraft, it's the cost of the infrastructure that should be lower, is the cost of the operation. How do you see that, and how can you apply also that cost effectiveness in time, because time is money?
Sure. So we need to realize that we have a roadmap. Based in that roadmap, we know that we need to do little steps. It's a process. It's not like final solution. It's a process. And in the past 100 years of aviation, everything was a process, right? So this means that we need to be prepared regarding the recovering of the costs that will be slow. That's why most of the countries in the European Union decided that Common Information Service should be an entity that have some support or have a link to the country. For example, the ETM service provider. Because probably it's more prepared to deal with that. That is different than having, for example, for me, I will register a new company and I will try to be a Common Information Service provider. Probably will be difficult because I cannot wait 20 years to recover the costs. So this is more or less already aligned in 2021, 2022. Secondly, we need to also to consider that this entity have already common information that can be provided in low costs, right? That is different that I create a new structure, a new company, invest a lot, try to get databases and servers to deal with the exchange of digital information, and the cost will be so high that I'll need to request more money for my service. At the end will be the operators and the payers to support it. Of course, we will kill the space, right? So the process is, okay, so we will ensure that this Common Information Service, that we know, we have some control about that. It's organizations that we know, have a management system, have tradition, historic safety records, and so on. Ensure that they will be able to provide cheap common information. And with that, right, it means that when the USSP get the information, they will get it from a single source. So the USSPs do not need to invest each USSP to buy the same common information. Will be simply provided by a Common Information Service. So our plan, recognizing that we have a country with 10 million and we can have some, of course, problems with investment, is try to create a central figure and support the ecosystem in the Common Information Service provider. That will be a single one for all the Portuguese use spaces, right? So with that, we think that we can achieve at least the first level of maturity of the use space. And I can explain, I will,
Go ahead.
if you get me only three years. As you know, we need to cope with the advanced air mobility use space services with the category of operations. It's very, very important. We cannot sit here, start to talk about AAM without crossing and see what is in the same level, because the right tone needs to be correct, so it needs to be clearly identified. And with our process, we ensure at least that, for example, an open category operator, that is a person that is operating for leisure, can arrive to Lisbon, coming from the United States for vacations. We will install an application in the smartphone, we'll register, right? And we'll request a flight, a VLOS flight. So we will select a coordinate, automatically a radius of 400 meters is created, and the flight authorization is automatically approved. Low costs. Right?
Very good.
Secondly, we have the scenario that we can have another operator from the open category trying to fly in the same region. But there is no problem because this flight authorization is in a digital database. So if you are a second USSP and you try to approve a flight to your operator, you will see already a flight authorization for that place. You can approve anyway because you have a service called information service, and the information service will say, look, you are approved, but you have another guy with a drone flying that conditions in VLOS in open category. Let's try to do it in the specific category. Specific category, they are more professional, more risk. This means that we'll have an authorization or a look from the competent authority, ANAC. The process is the same. The only difference is that you will upload the authorizations and the fields will be parsed according with the mitigations and the other authorizations. So if you are a service provider, you already know, I will provide the USSP service to this guy, I will provide you flight authorization, but based in the mitigations. So this guy cannot overfly assemblies of persons. So I have a service that tell me dynamically what is the density of population. Oh, okay, so instead of approving a direct route, I will do a circumnavigation to that high density population. So he's complying with the operational authorization of the specific category, at the same time he's receiving the service and delivering a pizza in Amadora, that is the place that I'm living right now. Then you have the concept of the certified category. And in the concept of the certified category, we need to realize that there is a top of climb in the use space. In Portugal, it will be 500 meters, 150 meters above ground level, 500 feet AMCL, above mean sea level. Why we need that? Because we need to have a layer to segregate manned aircrafts in high-risk environment from unmanned aircrafts. With that, we avoid the lots of hazards that we are not able currently to identify. And with that, we basically are mitigating the risk of collision, drone, manned aviation. So we think that the current framework will be cheap, will be easy to achieve. We ensure for the first maturity a certain level of segregation that will deploy and create safe operations in our use space. And with that, the operators will have clients, the clients will pay. With that money, they will invest in common information service, the USSP will receive the money, and we will see the ecosystem evolving for the next step of maturity.
I'm going for the last question, gentlemen. It's important, the cost, because this is supposed to cost more or less the same as a Uber ride. So, and this is where the industry is going, and I believe it's possible. Also, connected to the cost is the intermodality. How important it is for us to connect everything so that we are able to create a good network and a cost-effective for everybody. Last question.
I will say that it's going to happen in the last phase, I say. We need to firstly introduce all the ecosystem and see if it works properly. But in the end, the only way to make the connectivity of green intermodally is the infrastructure that we are going to build. For instance, the Alta Velocidade, so in Portugal, needs to be connected. The stations need to be connected with these kind of solutions. And also the airports and the aerodromes in the center and far away from the coast of Portugal. It could be the solution of creating more interconnectivity in these two points. I think that is more or less. And also, if we want to reduce costs, we need to make a scale. And a scale operation. Yes. Otherwise, it's going to be an air limousine, and in the beginning it's going to be, but afterwards it has to be cost effective.
There is, to finish the debate, there is one subject that is very hot, very trendy, that we haven't spoken about, is sustainability. We just spoke about sustainability of the business, but believe me, sustainability is not an issue on this, as this equipment that will fly will have 0% footprint, as aviation is very well known. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for this amazing debate. Thank you, Kim. Next time, I hope to see you in Portugal. And João, see you soon in Advanced Air Mobility Summit in Oeiras.
See you soon, Federico. We'll be there.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, and I hope to be in Portugal next time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.